level 4 of GRE 504 is all about using the Pythagorean Theorem and using the distance formula. Now, the distance formula, which I'll give you in a minute, comes straight from the Pythagorean Theorem. So it makes sense then that we're going to learn the Pythagorean Theorem first. So our Pythagorean Theorem, most of you have probably heard it thrown around. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. And a couple important notes. C is the hypotenuse, which means the longest side, or the side opposite of the right angle. A and B are called legs of the right triangle, so the ones that form that right angle. The Pythagorean theorem can only be used on right triangles. That's actually really important. Only can be used on right triangles. Okay. Moving on. Let's apply the Pythagorean theorem. So first we need to set it up. What we're looking for is the missing leg here. So you can choose. That's either A or B. Let's make it A. So let's set this up. A we don't know, so we're going to leave it as a variable. That's what we're solving for. Plus b squared, so 6 squared, equals 10 squared. Let's simplify this. A squared plus 36 equals 100. Okay. A squared, now we're going to take away this 36, so subtract 36 from both sides. So a squared is going to equal, 64. Now, to undo a square, just like division undoes multiplication, subtraction undoes addition, square root undoes a square. So we're going to solve this. We need to take the square root of both sides. Sorry, it's getting all Christmassy up in here. When we take the square root of 64, we get 8. And the square root of a squared, well, that square root undoes the square, so we just have a. So this would be the solution for a in this case, for that missing side. And since the units were in meters, it would be 8 meters. This concept can be similarly applied to questions like example number 2 over on the right-hand side here. The question is, what is the distance from A to B? And you'll notice we have a segment that's on a coordinate plane. Another way to ask this question is, what's the length of AB, the segment AB? In order to do this, before you know the distance formula, it's a lot easier to just impose a right triangle right onto our coordinate plane. And if we look here carefully, you can tell how long the sides are by counting the tiles. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. And our missing side is the hypotenuse, or C. So we've got a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Alright, so this is 9 plus 16 equals c squared. 25 equals c squared. And then square root both sides to get rid of that square. And we get c equals 5. So our distance is 5 units. And I'm going to show you the distance formula in just a moment, but that's going to be the simplest way overall to find the length of a segment on a coordinate plane. When the distance formula comes in handy, however, is when you're just given points. So here in this example, we're asked for the distance from this point to this point. Now you really have two options here. Your first option is to graph and then use the Pythagorean theorem. Your second option is to use the distance formula. The problem with using the distance formula is you have to memorize it. So up here, you might want to write this down. The distance formula is given by d, for distance, equals the square root, and the square root extends all the way across here, x2 minus x1 in parentheses squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. So if you can memorize that formula, then it's very useful here when we're doing this example. So here we're going to say this is x1, y1, x2, and y2. And we're going to put this all into our formula. So d equals square root, x2 is 7, minus x1 is negative 1, y2 is 9, minus y1 is 5. Should be very careful with negatives. They still go in even though we're subtracting. 7 minus negative 1, subtract a negative is like adding, so that's 8 squared, plus, and then 9 minus 5 is 4 squared. So we'll have 64 plus 16, which gives us the square root of 80. Now this is not going to be a nice number. It's going to be some decimal. You can just plug it right into your calculator and get the decimal out. But this is the type of answer that you're going to get here. So square root of 80 units. But give me the decimal. I just don't have a calculator out. And that is the gist of level 4. So your options are using the Pythagorean theorem or using the distance formula. I don't really care which one you do.